Hey y'all, welcome back to the Hot Rod Dad channel. Glad you came. Hope you stay. Like, subscribe, comment, share, etc., etc. Beautiful sunshiny day here today in Tennessee, but deceivingly cold. It's only about 32 degrees here. And I am headed out to the shop to work on the BLT a little bit. I've been suffering from a serious lack of motivation on this car, but I think I've come up with a solution to that. I've decided I'm going to take this car to a show this year, even in unfinished state, because I think it's kind of cool to see things when they're unfinished and kind of get ideas about how you want to build things, how you want to do things with your own ride. So I'm going to get about mounting the headlights on this thing. My goal is to make it look as much like a car as I can. So that's a lot of the aesthetic things. I'm going to try to get finished up on it. And I'm going to drag it to a car show and just let people look at it and give me their thoughts about it and critique it and that type of thing. So y'all stay tuned. Let's get the headlights mounted on the BLT. So here's the headlights I'm going to use on the BLT. These are original Model T headlights. I'm not exactly sure what year, but they are definitely Model T. Here's the lenses. It's got the Ford script up there at the top. And the housings are in real good solid shape. And my plan is to convert those to a more modern halogen bulb or something like that. But my first order of business is to straighten this one up. As you can see right there, it's got a little bit of a bend in it. So I'm going to heat that up and try to get that one straight. This one right here looks like it's very straight, good and original condition. So I'm going to try to get that one straightened up, and then I'm going to build a real simple little mount to come up off the frame somehow to connect to it right there. Not exactly sure how I'm going to do that yet, but here's the temporary mount I had on there. You may have seen the headlights mounted on it in the roller video I did a while back. And that's the mounts that I just had clamped to the frame just to get an eyeball on it and see what they were going to look like. But I'll have to build a more permanent mounting bracket there for it. So that's what they look like. I'm going to get started on that and see how that turns out. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but that mount right there kind of goes that way and then that way. So the idea right here, I'm going to heat this up just a dull red and take the hammer, peen it over that way just a little bit, and then I will heat it up right here after that cools off and bring it back. That should straighten it up pretty good. Well, just a little bit of heat and a little persuasion with a hammer, and that went right back into place. It's good and straight now, and you can see it's just about identical to the other one. So time to move on to making the mounts, but first a little head scratching, I guess, to figure out how I want to do it. Okay, so the lights have this stem on them right here, and they have the original castle nuts, and the threads are in really good condition. So what I'm thinking about doing is coming up with a piece of tubing just to slip over that shoulder right there, and then I can build some kind of mount, you know, to go over to the frame and weld to that sleeve. I don't know, this is still in the planning stages, but this is a good original shape, so I kind of hate to mess with it too much. I'd like to build something to go to the original bracket right there. And, you know, I kind of have a tread lightly motto when it comes to original parts like these. These are in really good condition. Kind of like to leave them in that kind of shape. So, you know, maybe the next guy one of these days can reuse them. Well, just checking out the mounting location of these headlights. And what I want is for them to mount kind of down low and the contour of that headlight, as you can see there, you know, pretty close to the angle of the radiator grill shield right there. And what I want is for this to kind of go in front of the grill right there a little bit, so it kind of has that look, you know, it's kind of overlapping the grill a little bit. So I think just about in that location right there, just about in the center of the frame down there is where this stem lands right there. So I think I'm going to shoot for just about right there at the back of the grill shell right here, and I'll just build a bracket that just kind of mounts on top of the frame rail right there. Well, I was going through my scrap metal and found this piece of 1/2-inch gas pipe. If memory serves me correctly, the inside diameter of that should be about 5/8 of an inch diameter, which is the same as this stem right here on that shoulder. But as you can see right here, this has been cut off with a tubing cutter, so it's left a shoulder in there. So I'm going to file that down right there and see if this might fit that shoulder, and then we'll go from there. Well, as I suspected, that was 5/8 of an inch, roughly inside diameter. I had to do a little bit of filing on the inside, as this tube has a seam in there. I don't know if you can see it or not. But I had to do a little bit of filing on the inside to get it to slide over that shoulder right there. But it fit nicely, and just as I was thinking about it, filing that out right there, I thought, you know, maybe I could just put an angle on that to match the frame where I want it to be. So I took that over to the chop saw and just kind of guessed at it. Turned out pretty good, and I've got the same angle on the second piece, so I can just cut it to length and move it right over here if that angle works out, which I think it will. And then I can just make a small pad right here to weld to that sleeve and drill a couple of bolt holes in it and bolt that to the frame. Now that leaves me with the problem of having to make this stem stationary in there in some way. And to do that, I think I can just run the TIG around here and kind of weld that up, but I'm not sure what kind of metal that is. That may be cast iron. If it is, that's going to be kind of aggravating to weld. So I could either weld it, I can kind of do a little test spot on it there to see. If that don't work out, I can drill and pin that. So either way, I think this is going to be the direction that I go. So after kind of mocking up the lights on the frame and getting an idea of where I want them to sit, I thought it might be cool to wrap this bracket around the side of the frame and maybe give the stem of the light right there a little extra support. And I've carved this out of a piece of square tube, an 1/8-inch wall right there. And then I'm just going to flip this around and cut out an identical one to this one on the other side. So when it sits on the frame, it'll sit on there just like that. And then I'll drill some holes in the frame. I think I may even rivet that to the frame if I can figure out a way to get to the other side to back up the rivets to hammer them down. So after getting my parts cut out last night, I'm back in the garage tonight trying to get these lined up. So what I've done here, found a real good straight piece of a 2x4 right here. And I just drilled a couple of holes right there to bolt the cans to. I've taken the reflectors and everything out right there. Just used a long bolt right there and a wing nut I had laying around, and bolted the cans to the 2x4 and positioned them where I want them. And you can see right here the light right there is just kind of overlapping the grill right there, and it's hugged up there real tight, and that's that's the way I want it. I think that's going to look pretty cool. I could tilt them out just a little bit more, but I like them kind of squeezed in there like that. So I think I've pretty well finalized the location, and you can see just how that bracket mounts up right there now. So I'm just going to put a couple of tacks on this, and then I'll pull everything off for a final weld. But as I'm looking at it right here, I'm thinking those big old tall stands right there might be prone to vibration. So I'm thinking I may come in here and tie in a piece of round stock right here and just shoot across the grill right there and make a little kind of a headlight bar that ties both of those stands together. I think that would be pretty cool, and I may do something a little creative right here in the center. I don't know. We'll see. After I get these tacked on, I'll remove this 2x4 and see what it looks like. The other option I have, as far as vibration goes, thinking about maybe hiding a bolt back here into the grill shell right there and putting like a rubber spacer in between just to hold it solid right there. I don't know. We'll see. Even so, I guess they could, kind of have some movement this way. But if I tie in a headlight bar right there, that would alleviate that. So we'll see. So here's what it looks like post welding. Pretty tickled with that. This bolt right here wraps around to the side of the frame, and those two bolt onto the top of the frame. Could have went straight across between those two holes right there, but I made that little indention right there just to stylistically make it a little more appealing. I don't know, maybe a little overkill there, but you can see that it's welded right around the tube right there. Turned out really nice, and if a fellow wanted to later on, you could just take a cut-off wheel, cut that weld, clean that light up a little bit. The threads are well protected inside that tube, and you'd basically be back to a stock headlight. So let's get this mounted on the car, see what it looks like. So here is one of the mounts on the driver's side here, mounted up to the frame so you can see kind of what that looks like. I'm realizing now, after getting this bolted down to the frame, I've probably not given nearly enough thought to what I'm going to do for shocks on the front of the car. I intended to do friction shocks on it, and I'm probably still going to do that, but I'm very limited on space right here, and I could have and probably should have incorporated that headlight mount into a shock mount as well, but hindsight, as they say, is 20/20, so, and anything is subject to change. And I may take one step forward here and 2 steps back with that mount if I do indeed end up changing it to incorporate it into a shock mount. But if you never take that step forward, you're never making any progress. So the whole thing about that old saying is you have to take that step forward, and you may potentially take a back set, but if you never take that step forward, you don't learn from it. So anyway, there they are. They're mounted up, and they're pretty solid. I may still go in there and tie that in to the grill shell, or I may do the headlight bar right there. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. I almost forgot, here's another little update on the BLT. I am super stoked that the welding is finished up on the gas tank. I don't know if you watched the gas tank build video, but this is stainless steel. It came off of a It's actually a smokestack off of an old piece of equipment that we were tearing out. And there's the threads, the threaded insert that I made to go in there. That's made out of a conduit coupling. And this cap is new old stock. It's military issue from a 1.5 deuce. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I had to make that work. Anyway, stoked to have that finished up. I think after I finalize the headlights, I'm going to come back here and finish this area up just to make it aesthetically look as much like a finished hot rod as I can before I drag this thing to a show. So there's a quick little update on the gas tank.
Y'all get out there and build something.
That's right.